Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to share 6 different truths about money that I wish somebody taught me at a younger age. Some of these I had to figure out on my own. Others, somebody might have taught me at some point or I learned from some books over time. But I want to share these with you today. And I found that they ended up saving me more money, making me more money, and just helping me financially all around. So if you want to improve your personal finance, if you want to improve your wealth and increase wealth over your lifetime, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. We do our best to provide as many videos on these topics as possible. We'd highly appreciate it. So let's just get started with this video. Let's not beat around the bush here. And let's start with the first one, which is sort of adopting sort of a minimalist type of lifestyle. This is something that I've really been moving into in the past about 6 months or so, really just cutting back on a lot of the clutter that you have in your house and things that you think that you need that you really don't need in order to be happy in life. I found that for myself as I just moved everything out of my apartment just last week, and I'm moving into my new one in a couple of days here. And so in that process, when you're cleaning out your apartment, or if you've ever rented somewhere and you're cleaning it out, you realize how much more stuff you actually have. Like, you're filling up truckloads of stuff that you just didn't think you had. And I found myself in this position. So really, I'm going to be focusing on cutting back on a lot of just materialistic things that you just don't need. For example, having a toaster oven and a toaster and a microwave and a conventional oven, and just having all these different things that you just don't really need, and they end up costing you more money because when something breaks, you have to pay to fix it, and then you go to the store and you just end up buying so much more stuff. And if you're ordering one thing per week on Amazon, that's 52 things per year, and then they start to add up over the years, and that's 500 things over a decade that are just sitting in your house, sitting in your apartment, that you just don't really need. So that's the first one that I want to share with you, and maybe I'll do some type of apartment tour. If you'd like to see that, let me know down below as I move into this new apartment to show you guys how I'm furnishing it and how I really kind of go throughout my day. So if you're interested, let me know. But the next one that I want to share with you is an idea that I learned quite a while ago, but it's still something that scares me that a lot of people don't realize, and that's just avoiding debt at almost all costs. Now, if you're fans of, say, Dave Ramsey or Chris Hogan or some other people, you'll know that debt, in a lot of cases, is something that you want to avoid. But if you look at the average amount of debt in America, it's still very scary to see that people have credit card debt, student loans, home mortgages, car payments, personal loans. The list goes on. So Americans have tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt. And one thing that I just want you to remember after watching this video is just before you sign on the dotted line to really just think twice about it, because I think especially this really goes for people who are buying cars. It just seems like such a small payment to maybe say sign for a car and you're paying $300 a month for that car loan or $400 per month on that loan. And it's just something that you don't really think about as much because you say, it might be 4% interest, 5% interest, 6% maybe. And so a lot of people just sign on the dotted line. And this goes for people if you're considering going to college. And I think it's a little bit kind of strange to see 17-year-olds literally signing for $100,000 in student loans. It's just kind of a weird situation, but just be very aware of how much money you're actually signing to borrow, because you're gonna have to pay that back and you're gonna be hit with a lot of interest rates, especially if you don't have a good credit score. So just really think twice about it. Now, there's a couple things that are hard to avoid when it comes to debt. So for example, if you wanna buy a house in your 20s or 30s, you're probably not gonna have $250,000 on hand in cash to pay for that house. So a lot of people get home mortgages, which can be understandable. But when it comes to cars, for myself, I like to buy them in cash. And yeah, some people argue that, well, with that money that you could have saved by maybe not putting a lump sum of $15,000 down on a car, instead of investing that into the stock market and getting 7% so that you could pay 4% on the car loan. But to me, I don't like having debt in my life. It's just like this overlooming dark cloud over top of you. And say you're looking at your bank account one day and you have $43,000 in your bank account, but you have $68,000 of debt just looming overhead, and it's just kind of this feeling that's not a very good feeling that I would get personally. And I've had debt in the past, but I've paid almost all of it off because I just really am not a big proponent of it, and it's also just not very necessary in a lot of cases. Now, I'm going to kind of flip you around here because this next idea might be a little bit confusing, but I think you should stick with it because it's going to make a lot of sense once you hear me out here. And that's by realizing that credit cards can actually be used as tools to actually become more successful in life financially as well. So credit cards, as a general statement, are going to be something that you should probably avoid, that the overall population, overall people, consumers, should probably avoid credit cards. And that's because A lot of people are going to get credit cards. They're going to spend money that they don't have. They're going to spend more money than what they thought they were going to spend, or they just forget to pay their bill. They're late on their payments, and they end up spending a lot more money on credit card interest. Now, the reason why credit cards can be used as a tool is because you can use these for rewards. You can use these for sign-up bonuses. So for example, if you've been following me on Instagram, you'll probably notice that I've been doing quite a bit of traveling, or at least compared to what I used to do. I never left the US until just this year in 2019, but since then I've been on about 20 some flights, and a good amount of those flights were actually funded by free credit card bonuses that I've gotten to essentially fly me places for signing up for credit cards. Now, I've never paid a single penny in credit card interest. There's a way to essentially game the system in a way where you can still actually reap thousands of dollars worth of rewards and free things from credit card companies without actually spending a lot of money. So I rarely use a lot of my credit cards. I try not to spend too much money, but I still get a lot of sign-up bonuses, a lot of rewards as a whole. So, you know, they can enable you to do certain things. You can get round-trip flights to anywhere in the world if you have a credit card with a sign-up bonus. But I really want to caution you on that, because not everybody is going to be in the best position to use credit cards. I know, for example, one of my brothers, he knows that he can't use credit cards. He doesn't have the discipline to use a credit card and then pay it off and make sure that he's not spending too much money on that card. So he just uses a debit card. For him, it works better. But for someone like myself, where I spend so much time tracking my finances, it probably too much time, almost an unhealthy amount of time tracking my finances, where every penny comes in, where every penny goes out. I know exactly everything with my finances. And because of that, I'm able to use credit cards, and you may be able to use credit cards as well without having any problems and actually end up winning and using them as a tool. Now, they do have some other benefits as well. One of them is that you do build your credit score, and that can help with getting loans in the future, which, like I said, I don't really like debt, but if you have to get a home mortgage, if you do want to borrow some money at some point in your life, it's available to you at a lower interest rate than if you didn't have any type of loans in your life. On top of that, with a debit card versus a credit card or cash, for example, credit cards, if somebody steals it and they buy something, well, in most cases, credit card companies will cover that and you won't be liable for that. Versus debit cards or obviously cash in your wallet, somebody could steal that and you're probably not going to get that back. So that is another reason why I like them. So something else that I wish I did learn sooner was that you don't have to pay money to learn essentially anything. Now, I'm really kind of talking about like these online courses I see everywhere. People are selling their courses, the $1,000 course to show you how to get better finances or how to build your credit score, and you can buy the course for $1,000. But the truth is, there's so much free information out there that you can learn an incredible amount for absolutely free at your local library. You can learn it for maybe $8 for an Amazon book. For example, this book right here, personal finance book, right? So sometimes people spend $1,000 on a full all day, maybe it's a weekend seminar on personal finance and how to better your personal finances. But you're spending $1,000 on that when you could read a book like this, which is literally a textbook. Like they use this in classrooms. If you read a book like this and you spend $20 on it on Amazon, this is going to teach you 10 times more information than anybody could in a 2-day seminar that you paid an exorbitant amount of money for. So just keep that in mind with a lot of stuff, whether you think that you have to pay money to learn how to do it. In most cases, you just don't. I mean, I've really never paid to learn things because there's so much free info out there. I mean, I've paid $10 for Udemy courses that I found to be very valuable. I've paid for a lot of books, but in a lot of cases, I just go to my local library and there's so many books, I'll never be able to read all of them to learn so much. Now, on the flip side there, there are some courses, there are some things that can actually be valuable. I have some friends who do sell some online courses that will teach you a lot of things that can be valuable. So they're not always going to be something that I would totally avoid, but me personally, I just know that there's so many possibilities and so many things out there that there's really no reason for me personally to spend money on that. And this one's a little bit more of an opinion, and I understand that people can disagree with that, but it's just what I personally think. The next one is that realizing that looking rich really doesn't win in the long run for yourself. I think when people start to see an increase in their income, they like to start to try to show people that they're doing well, that they're making money, especially in like this entrepreneurial area that I see where people, maybe they'll make $200,000 in a year. And they want to show people that because maybe they dropped out of college or they quit their job. And so they buy a Rolex, they buy some really nice stuff, maybe they buy a nice boat. But that doesn't really help you win over the long term by kind of spending all this money on things. I know just looking at people from my high school, there was always like that one family that would pull up in the Escalade, like the $90,000 car. They had a really nice house. They got the new 80-inch TVs in their house. But then you look at them and you look at their job and they're making maybe $100,000 per year. Their total expenses are probably $150,000 per year, and they're really not winning. They might be appearing that they're winning, and that might do something for their social status, but they're really not winning. So it's okay to look like you're not rich, even if you are making money, whether you're making a lot of money or not. I think trying to be excessive with all that, it's just foolish in a lot of cases, and you don't need to flash all that to be happy in life. That's just something that I learned. And there's people like, for example, there was a janitor, I believe, somewhere up in north about like New England area who had $8 million, and he was a janitor, and he did this through investing, but he was very simple. He lived in a very small house. He wore just regular clothes, but he was a multi-millionaire. He didn't go showing it off everywhere. I think his name was Ronald Reed. Very interesting story. Now, there's a balance here. You don't want to just save all of your money and never spend anything, but don't go absolutely crazy with it, especially if at any point in your life you find yourself making a lot of money, making six figures, making $500,000 a year. I just think it's foolish to spend a lot of that to look cool, to try to build your appearance and make everybody kind of jealous of you or think, wow, that person's doing so well in life. And the final one here that I want to share with you is just very brief. And, I've probably mentioned this before on this channel, but if you're not doing it already, you really do want to consider it. And that's by really taking a look at your retirement plans and your retirement funds. So I was talking to my accountant a while back, and I kind of had a lapse in judgment where I said to him, I'm not sure how much money I want to put into my IRA accounts this year because I don't want to lock my money away in a retirement account that I can't really touch. I can touch some of it, but I can't touch all of it until I'm 59 and a half without withdrawing it with a penalty from the IRS. And luckily, my accountant kind of changed my mind on this. If he's watching it right now, how's it going? But he changed my mind on this because he said, you know what, you're 21 now, and it's hard to picture yourself retiring in 40 years. 40 years from now, that's double the life that I've lived so far. It just seems so far out that I had a lapse in judgment. I said, it's so far out, I don't want to worry about it. I'll think about it in my 30s, but you really want to think about doing it now, at the moment. The younger you are, the better, to just save for retirement, because when you're 37 years old and you're looking at your retirement account and you have $200,000 in there, you're going to feel so much better than if you find yourself in your 40s with no money in your IRAs, no money in your 401ks, because you just didn't opt into it and you were spending that money elsewhere on different things. Maybe you're going out and partying in your 20s and 30s instead of putting that into your retirement accounts. You're going to be in a much better position to just do that in your life. And if you live in a different country, you probably have some type of retirement plans available to you. Most countries do. If it's not a 401k or an IRA, they probably have different terms in various other countries throughout the world. So hopefully you found some value in this video. I really try my best to just provide as much ideas as possible on this channel. These videos aren't scripted. These are just my opinions. So if you found this video to be helpful, make sure you drop a like. I'd appreciate it. Thanks everybody for helping this channel hit 200,000 subscribers. I really never thought that would ever happen, and yeah, so I'm very thankful for that. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see everybody in the next video.